Hey, what's going on, Purple People podcast fans? Welcome to this week's show. It is Thursday, July 30th. The year is 2020, and aliens are taking over the world. And I'm here with my two favorite ones right here. Kyle West.
That's next month. Next month is when the aliens come.
There's already been UFO, and the government's like, yeah, there are UFOs. I'm like, it's a good time to slide that in and hope nobody reads it.
Not only I love that story because I'm a big X-Files fan. I love all that shit. Not only were they like, there's UFOs, but they were like, there's UFOs, and occasionally we don't know where they come from. Like, most of the time, we're like, it's probably Russia. But occasionally, we're just like, what? We don't know where this came from. What a time. What a year.
And then Adam Carlson is light years ahead of us with his background down there.
I don't know where anything comes from, and I have two very jumpy cats around the house right now. So if you hear some crashing and possibly some squealing or hissing, it's probably me, but there's also a good chance it's the cats.
I didn't know you had two cats, Adam. I knew about you.
Cat sitting for a buddy right now. Gotcha. He's between places, and he's staying with his mom for now, and he can't have his cat with him at this moment, so I'm holding on to him until he gets his new place and can take Bernie in.
You know, I can think of no better person to cat sit than Adam. So
I don't know, I've already let him once on accident, so that's not good. He's an indoor cat. Mew can do whatever he wants. He wants in, cool. He wants out, fine. Bernie, he's not that way.
My mom had an indoor cat once, and it got outside one time and promptly got hit by a car. Just, like, immediately.
It happens.
Yeah.
It does happen.
It was like it beelined right for the fucking road.
I was talking to a good friend of mine today, and she said their neighbors, they breed snakes. And, you know, she's the cool neighbor who likes the snakes, and the other one on the other side says, I don't like snakes. What if they get out and eat my chihuahua? And, like, these are boa constrictors. You know, these will absolutely not survive 10 minutes outside in the wild. They have no instincts whatsoever. So that is funny. That's not just cats that do that. Apparently snakes, too. But rounding out this weird intro, one of the weirder ones to the show because we just got off track so quick. This is episode 400, if you can believe it.
Whoa.
And this is called, I know, right? We've been doing this for a long time. You guys even longer than me. And this one's called Opting Out because it's going to be a weird season if it happens at all. And we've already had some players around the NFL, one on the Minnesota Vikings, that have opted out for this year due to COVID-19 concerns. We're going to go over that. The NFL Top 100 Players list was revealed, which I like in this rushed format. It was a lot to absorb, but they did it over 3 days instead of a week at a time. And then we'll talk about some Pro Football Focus stuff and dive in. We actually have news this week, so that's really awesome.
Right on. We got a question in the chat already. Yeah, there you go. Will it be awkward in the locker room between Elfline and Cousins when Elfline is no longer starting? I'm going to say I don't think so because they're all professionals. They all understand that, like, hey, if something happens on the depth chart, I don't think it'll be awkward. No hard feelings, right?
What are you talking about, John? Elfline's going to be comeback player of the year.
Kirk only had one season between Elfline's legs, right?
Yeah.
What a phrase.
Or was he already at guard at that time?
I think he only had one. What was it, 2 years ago? Elfline was still at center, and we got Bradbury last year. Yeah, I think it was just one. That's funny. It's a fantastic quote that you just had, too. I'm really sad that nobody else thought of that. Yeah, I found this interesting. We'll get the little stuff out of the way. We don't really have too much of a formula right now because this season and year is just totally weird. But I saw this thing the other day that I wanted to share with everyone, and it was Pro Football Focus. And I know Adam Thielen was injured last year, and that's okay. But according to Pro Football Focus, he was the highest-graded wide receiver last season against man coverage with a 93 rating. Devontae Adams was second at 91.8, and Michael Thomas at 90.6 was third.
Adam, like you said in the chat, it's almost like he's a number one wide receiver for Minnesota.
He's got those crisp routes. You watch him and you see him so tight, so crisp. he's got that point where he makes a shift and then he's open. You don't have to worry about him rounding routes and letting cornerbacks kind of follow him through. He will make those tough cuts. He will create that separation. And that is why Kirk Cousins feels so comfortable throwing to him.
He had, 7-8 games to start the season with 100 yards or more receiving for Minnesota.
Yeah.
Adam Thielen, spoilers, hey, Adam Thielen, pretty good darn player for Minnesota.
Now, I'm going to play devil's advocate here just because I heard it on one of those fantasy shows and just because I was craving something football. Mm-hmm. So the season that Kyle was just talking about was 2018. The Vikings went 8-7-1, Kirk Cousins' first year. That was the DeFilippo fiasco of never running the ball, right? But the last 18 games, Adam Thielen has not really been himself. He got on that hot streak the first part of the year. Defense has sort of adjusted and figured it out, and then he had injury last year. And I'm not going to hold injury against anyone because you can't predict that. Certainly don't plan for it. You don't want it. But I hope that
was it a bulged or herniated disc in his back?
I can't remember the back issue. I know last year was that hamstring that kept nagging on and on, but I don't remember the back one. I'm not sure on the specifics.
Or was that leading into last season with the back?
That was leading in.
Because the fact it was last year, the year before, the fact he was able to come back and play like that immediately is amazing. But I do expect him to be much healthier coming into this season, and he should have a little bit more of a chip on his shoulder after seeing how much the media is just heaping praise on Stephon Diggs, and Adam Thielen's kind of been left out in the rain.
Not only because of Diggs, but every time you see like ESPN will do a thing on Facebook, will be like, "Hey, here's the 3 best receivers in the league. Who do you want?" Adam Thielen never gets mentioned. He never gets mentioned in that. So he'll continue to have that chip on his shoulder, Adam.
I would love to see the numbers that Adam Thielen would put up if he got the targets of Michael Thomas and Julio Jones.
Oh,
sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And you know what? If Justin Jefferson comes in and is half of what we want him to be, there's going to be a tension on both sides. We could see an emergence of Irv Smith. We talked about that many times on the show. But I want to play devil's advocate there. I'm not saying that I necessarily agree with that. I'm with you, Kyle. I think he's going to have a chip on his shoulder. You know, I got bored. I drove across the country yet again for the whatever amount of time that I've done that. And I watched the NFL Top 100 we're going to get into here shortly. But Adam Thielen made it the last 2 years in a row. I don't think he made it this year because he was injured. He was out for a while. But one of the things that you mentioned and asked about top 5 wide receivers, I've always liked Mike Evans because he's got huge size. And Jameis Winston was half the time throwing it to the other team, so I felt bad for him. But they said he said, you know, what's crazy is like we talk about white guy, white receiver. Somebody else said he reminds him of Jordy Nelson a lot with his crisp routes. It's like I think he's just one of the best receivers, period. And that coming from Mike Evans, I thought that was like a really good sign of respect. Yeah. And I think that tandem that we want to see is good, and I think that's a good thing that Adam Thielen's only 30, so he's still going to have 3 or 4 more good years left in him, and that can give Justin Jefferson time to grow, and then he can become the number 1. Being a first-round pick, I'm sure that's the expectation.
And what a great mentor for Justin Jefferson. You want to learn how to run crisp routes. You want to learn how to be a success in the NFL. You want to learn how to work your way from special teams up through the depth chart. Adam Thielen is your guy. And you know that Thielen will pull him aside and work with him because he's not worried about job security. I believe that, Thielen knows that he's got his spot on the team and that he wants Jefferson and the other wide receivers to, if he has success, they have success. They all work off one another. I think that's what makes him a great leader for Minnesota in that locker room.
And let's be honest, we don't know much about the depth chart behind Thielen and Jefferson. There's a lot of question marks as to who's going to be there or where they're going to be. And that's all going to have to shift out in such a small period of time with no preseason games and very little time on the football field together.
You know who's the free agent, Kyle Smith?
Jerry's right.
Antonio Brown.
That's right. Bingo, bango, Jerry is right.
He said Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown is retired for the second time, I believe.
Yeah.
Terrell Owens.
Chad Johnson.
Yeah, Terrell Owens still looks really good. I think I don't think this is a bold statement at all. I think we all agree here. If I throw this out there, I think the only guarantee behind Jefferson and Thielen is BC Johnson. I don't know that anyone else has a guaranteed spot. I think BC Johnson. I don't know that he'll be the 3. Maybe Tajay Sharp comes in, like I hope that he does, and just lights it up. But I think he's the most guaranteed out of that pool of question mark talent. And it's not because I don't think they are talented. We just don't know enough about the rest of these guys.
And we know the Vikings like BB, and they're going to try to find someone to fill a spot on special teams to return. So maybe return will take precedence over a little bit of extra wide receiver potential. I don't know. But this is definitely panning out to be a tough spot to make the roster a wide receiver because they've got quite a few rookies. They've got the guy they brought in free agency, and they've got guys that have been on the roster before or on the practice squad that are hungry.
All right, I'm trying to look up the COVID numbers. I'm also looking up these top 100 numbers because this year was weird. I don't know about the rankings, but yeah, there's going to be a battle.
Did Thielen make the top 100 this year? I don't think he did.
I don't think so, no.
No? Who made it? Harrison Smith? I know.
Actually, that's a great transition because I'm going to go ahead and look at that right now. I'm pulling it up as we speak. I know Dalvin Cook was the highest rated at 21. Eric Kendricks finally made it on there, even though he was at 83. Harrison Smith was 64. Kirk Cousins was 58. And Danielle Hunter was at number 40. So that's 5 that I'm reading there, which is a good amount.
Yes. 5 out of 100 is very good, considering 32
Anthony
teams
Harris
in the league.
Was a big snub they talked about. Adam Thielen here. I'm on Vikings Wire. They're saying that Adam Thielen and Anthony Harris got snubbed. I don't think Adam Thielen got snubbed, even though he did have a decent amount of touchdowns last year. He was out most of the season, or at least half of it. But Anthony Harris, he damn sure should have been on there. He had his best.
The league is definitely taking notice on Danielle Hunter, though.
Oh, absolutely.
These people slip on him too long, and now they're like, wait, who's this guy? And he just shoots up to number 40 on the top 100.
Before we go down the list, let's just talk about Anthony Harris here because this is an interesting little bit here. Strange to think that Stephon Gilmore's the highest DB. He plays a valuable position on defense. He had a great season. Think about Anthony Harris. He earned the highest coverage grade in the NFL from PFF. 11 pass deflections, 6 interceptions. And I'm sorry, I'm reading the Stephon Gilmore stats. But that's the craziest thing to me. He's been, I don't want to say this like insult Harrison Smith or say anything bad about that. I don't think Harrison Smith has taken a nosedive. I think it's been a rocky last year or two, but he's still been very good. Like Harrison Smith's drop off is still better than most of the safeties in the league.
Well, the past couple of years, they've had to use Harrison Smith in different ways. We saw a lot of struggling from Xavier Rhodes, and we saw Harrison Smith stay back to be that last line of defense more often this year than being the line, the scrimmage pass rusher or a wild joker on the field. He's had to be a little bit more of that inline safety and wait and let the play come to him. So, what I bet the coaching staff for the Vikings is hoping is that this young talent they've brought in at corner will allow both safeties to free up and do a little bit more of what the Vikings love to do with their safeties. And that's use Harrison Smith in that way to be that joker, to maybe rush the quarterback, maybe stay in the mid-range, possibly drop back into coverage, because he can still do it all at a high level. But
it's funny you mentioned that too. That's in that the video for the top 100 because I thought it was funny. They ask now players that have moved on from the Vikings like Trey Waynes and Xavier Rhodes. They asked him about him. They said, "Yeah, Harry can do whatever he wants back there." He literally, we always have the joke in the DB room. This is Trey Waynes talking. He said he can do whatever he wants. This is crazy too. I'm going to get off the Anthony Harris stuff. We can talk about the guys that made the list, but from 2017 to 2019, Anthony Harris has only missed 5 regular season tackles in those 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
More than 800 snaps. That's insane. Yeah, he should have been on the list. I think everyone else made the list. Now, you can argue the number of which they were at, but let's just start from the bottom and go all the way down. Eric Kendricks at 83.
That's great to see he made the list.
Yeah.
He deserves to be on top 100. He deserves recognition. We can debate he should be higher, but the fact his peers voted him onto the list at all, it's awesome.
Considering how many players are in the NFL, just to be voted on the top 100, especially because it is by your peers, I think that's an accomplishment. You can argue, you should be higher, lower, whatever, but like, hey, the other players in the NFL recognize that he's one of the top talents in the league, so that's good.
And you guys can go on YouTube if you're watching and you want to look at these. You can just type in NFL Top 100 2020, and it'll tell you that. I thought it was funny because I've watched every Viking that's been on that list, and also Stephon Diggs was on there, even though he's not a part of the team anymore. We'll give him a shout out. But Eric Kendricks said, I know I wasn't on the list last year. He's like, and he was a little salty about it, and he made that known, which I thought was cool. He knows he's good, but he's going to kind of like lay low about it. But he comes in at number 83. The next person up was safety Harrison Smith, as we talked about. He was 64th. Harrison Smith's been higher on the top 100, but he's been consistently on there. He's consistently in the Pro Bowl, All-Pro. He gets all the recognition, and this is still a testament to what I was saying earlier. Even if he has like a so-called down year or an off year, he's still 64th in the peers' eyes, and he gets the respect out there, which is really cool. This one's funny. Captain Caucasian, Kirk Cousins himself, came in at 58, and I am super happy for that dude. He balled out, and a lot of people talked about it, and they finally said, hey, can't win a big game. Well, talk to New Orleans about that, and they had plenty of highlights from that game. But Kirk Cousins at 58, I was very happy with that. But let's talk about the two difference makers, one on defense and one on offense, because I think both of these guys could be higher on this list next year. Defensive end Danielle Hunter was at number 40 in the rankings. And that's creeping into some really, really good names. Kirk Cousins was above guys like Odell Beckham. I can't remember who exactly was around Danielle Hunter's range, just to give you an idea. But number 40 out of 100, the top 100 of, 1,100 players in the NFL, that's insane. So congratulations, Danielle Hunter.
Now, Danielle Hunter has more than established his ability as a pass rusher. Ever since he arrived in the league, he was setting people on notice. My issue is that with Dalvin Cook being the top-ranked Viking, he doesn't have that kind of establishment yet. He had one really great year. He had a solid year. He's had some great plays. But I don't know if he is going to be a consistent force to be called one of the best in the league. Maybe, last year he was among the best. He's still got to prove that he can be one of the best next year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's the injuries. We saw what he can do if he stays on the field, and he didn't even play a full season this year. I think he missed, one game for injury, and then it was a shoulder thing, and then
sat at the Span Alley.
Yeah, the Week 17 game, nobody played pretty much. So he's a dual threat. He's super fast. I personally I always checking all this stuff on Instagram and stuff. He looks fantastic in the offseason. And he showed up the other day for his coronavirus 19 test. So he was not late to camp. There's been some back and forth and some weird wishy-washy reports on.
From what I've been reading, this year's trend is going to be the sit in instead of the sit out.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to see players actually report to camp, but then refuse to participate rather than just stay home so they don't miss out on their bonuses and whatnot.
Okay.
Genius. It's a genius move. I think it's still a year away. We said it on the show. I personally think he should write it out one more year. Not to me saying, hey, go play, risk your body and all that stuff. I know I'm not the kind of person that should be saying that kind of stuff. It's just my opinion. But if he could have one more season, 75 to 80% of what he produced last year, he'll get all the money. The Vikings will take care of him. They'll give him a break. But it's just that injury history, man. It's very concerning, and you don't want to tie it all up there when we could go out and find another Alexander Madison next year and then just do what we did 2 years ago with Jerick McKinnon and Latavius Murray. I mean, let's be real. They still had a lot of production that year. I mean, you go to the NFC Championship with a backup quarterback and you're running the ball like that, it's hard-pressed to say you want to give a ton of money away. But the Vikings are known for that. We just talked about Danielle Hunter, and they'll give you the money, and they'll give it to you early if they believe in you.
But quarterback's a premium. Pass rush is a premium. Is running back really a premium these days? That's the question.
It's not, but what the Dalvin Cook side of it to turn it around is he can look at the team, and we can all agree, that I was your offensive MVP last year. The ball went through me. I made Kirk Cousins better. He could say that if he wanted to. I don't know
You know, those are all arguments that his agent are saying. Every one of them.
John Young says he's very happy that Cook reported camp. Yeah, me too, man. Yeah, and he honestly, if he was in Kirk Cousins' position, they get fined what, like $50,000 a day. Kirk Cousins he'd care less about that money. Now Kirk would never do that. We know that. But Dalvin Cook's only making a little over $1 million a year, so he's not going to sit that out. That's a lot of money for him still in this young career. So we'll see. Top 20 was all messed up, in my opinion. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. It's not Viking related, but we're going to talk about that. But Dalvin Cook is the highest rated Viking. He comes in at 21, and a lot of respect from a lot of players. He's just really good. He's turning into what we wanted. And I think if he ends up staying with the team, gets a deal, and keeps producing like this, he will be an absolute steal from the second round. So more to come on that. But those are your top 100 Vikings this year, the NFL Top 100. Transitioning to not so fun news, Monday, there were some Vikings that showed up, and Eric Sugarman, the trainer, that showed up on the COVID-19 reserve list. Now, we don't officially know if these people actually contracted the coronavirus or they just been in contact, but Justin Jefferson, the 22nd overall pick from LSU, was one of 4 Viking players on the team's reserve and COVID-19 list. Eric Sugarman, the team's trainer and VP of sports medicine, he was on there. I'm trying to find the rest of the players that were on that list from Monday.
Yeah, Anthony Barr is the most recent to be added to that list.
And this today is it's July 20th. That's yesterday. Additional players included Afadio Denabo, linebacker Cameron Smith, and the offensive tackle Oli Udo, along with Anthony Barr, Justin Jefferson. I don't know, man. I'm not too mad about this, honestly. I feel like I'd rather just happen now instead of right before an important
That's
game.
Exactly the way you got to look at it. It is.
I mean, you can't be mad at it. It's just we're all in the same boat. Professional NFL athletes or you and me sitting at home. I mean, we're all at the same risk getting it, so it's going to happen.
Well, the thing that before we transition to Michael Pierce, because we're going to talk about that, and that's kind of why I named the show after today. But this virus, it's only been around. I mean, I was just talking to my parents about this. I'm just going to go off on a little rant here. Nothing too crazy at that, but I'm down in San Antonio for like 4 months. So let's pause time right now and think back to when this really started, which was the middle of March. We just hit 4 months of coronavirus. By the time I leave here, everything's going to be weird and different. Football season's going to be halfway over, supposedly, if it happens. So this thing's ever changing. But the number one thing that we have to focus on, and that's think about it. Think about how long these last 4 months have felt, because we've all been forced to stay at home more than we want to, or wearing a mask or whatever. But we just hope these players are safe. I know all 3 of us feel that way. Like, these guys are already going out there and bashing each other's brains in, but this thing that could potentially kill you, you just want these guys to hopefully they're asymptomatic and they don't feel bad and they can recover very quickly. Now, I'm not sure the protocol. Adam, you're probably the guru on this, but I know that they can come back in at least before those 2 weeks are over and get retested or go somewhere else and get tested. And if they still no symptoms and they get tested, I think twice, they can come back.
Yeah, you have to pass 2 tests in order to come back.
So maybe they'll show up, and that's this week. So maybe second week of August. Before then, maybe the end of next week, we can get some of these guys back in. Because the thing about this season, and you guys know this, with the players not being able to come in till so late, and there's not going to be a preseason. It's going to be a crapshoot the first 4 games of the NFL season, assuming that it stays on schedule. It's going to be crazy. On top of the regular injuries that we know are probably going to happen, torn ACLs, pectoral muscles, and lifting. Elbows, knees, arms, all that. So
unfortunately, I think we're going to see more injuries early this year. I just got that feeling that with them not really having a normal off season, no real training camp, no real preseason, guys are going to go from 0 to full speed, and it's just going to be it's going to be a mess.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that with everything going on in the NFL, how the teams are handling this, how everybody else is handling it, even from the organizational point of view. It doesn't shock me that players are opting out of this season just to stay at home, be with their families, stay safe, especially players that have already established themselves a little bit financially and have that little nest egg to be able to sit on. I can't blame them one bit for taking that opportunity to stay with their family. It's not that they're not hungry to win football games, because at some point, the livelihood of your family, your own safety, that's more than football. That should always be more than football.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one reason why I believe that we're going to see a couple of more Vikings players opt out. And I firmly believe that Eric Kendricks is going to be one. I don't blame him one bit if he makes the decision to stay home this season. He lost, in case you don't know, he lost his grandpa due to the coronavirus. And that's why he was on his Instagram taking some of his paintings and selling them for COVID research. For me, I know that maybe he will see this as a way to kind of fight back. Maybe he'll want to avoid the situation completely. Either way, I completely understand what he wants to do, and whatever he decides to do, I hope that he really thinks about it, because I think he's in the toughest situation of anybody this year on the roster when it comes to deciding whether to opt in or opt out.
Yeah, certainly super depressing to hear. I didn't know that. Adam shared that with us in the chat. I think I'm with you on that. I'm sure Kyle is too. But there's going to be more players, especially on the team, but NFL wide. Right now, if you go on Pro Football Focus, I believe it came out today. I think the email was. Yeah, today, July 30th. I'm just going to do some notable names that are out there on different teams, people you might have heard of. Star Lutulele, he was with the Panthers, now with the Bills. He opted out. Eddie Goldman, interior defensive lineman for the Bears. I'm looking at Devin Funchess. God, the Packers just got shit on the entire offseason and in the draft. Get no help for Aaron Rodgers at wide receiver, draft his replacement. You go out and get like a half-assed free agent wide receiver, and he opts out, which is fine. He's allowed to do that.
Yeah.
But that sucks. Michael Pierce from the Minnesota Vikings, which I named this episode after for opting out. 69.1 PFF grade, 42nd, 519 defensive snaps. He has asthma, so if you guys are wondering why a new free agent for any team opts out, is because they have the chance to pretty much pause their contract now and extend it out a year. So it's like, we'll freeze it in time, we'll pick it up as if next season is right now. But he has asthma, and he was very adamant on saying, look, I just wanted to play it safe. Right now,
in case you're wondering, Pierce opting out, his salary, his guaranteed money stays for this year, while everything else shifts over. So the Vikings will only save about $3 million against the salary cap with him opting out. They will be able to either save that money or use it. Now, the rumor is that next year's salary cap is going to be decreased. Now, if that's the case, the Vikings better sit on whatever extra money they can find, because they have some guys coming into some money next year and could definitely use it.
Yeah, so that was interesting. I didn't know that either after learning it the other day, that this is kind of like a pause. There are some cap effects. I'll give you an example for another team. The New England Patriots are absolutely screwed. They are not going to be anywhere near what they thought what they've been the last 20 years. They did clear out about $17 million in 2020 cap space. They lost safety Patrick Chung, Dante Hightower, the linebacker, a bunch of guys that have never played snaps, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Some other notable names throughout the NFL. Nate Solder, former Patriot, now Giant. He's opted out. Marquise Goodwin, formerly of the Niners and now with the Eagles. Chance Warmack of the Seahawks. And then Larry Warford, big offensive lineman, free agent. He opted out as well. So all these guys are taking it safe, the safe route, and they have the right to do that. We're not going to judge anyone on that. But I wanted to say something that Kyle and I talked about before.
Hold on. It's interesting, really quick, that you're seeing a lot of the offensive linemen, defensive linemen opt out, because those are the guys who every single snap are right next to another player, right up in someone's grill like that. So it's interesting that they're kind of the first ones to be like, you know what, I'm going to sit out. You look at your receivers and your other players, they're a little more away. There's a little more separation from it. So,
well, let's be real too. I'm not saying anything negative about anyone's body type, anything like that, but I feel like those aren't the healthier guys on the team. Now defensive ends, Daniil Hunter, sure, but there's some big beefy dudes on both sides.
Did you ever watch the video on YouTube? I don't remember if it was Pat McAfee or someone else. But they were talking to the offensive linemen about their diets, about what they have to eat. to maintain that level, and it's just like not healthy at all.
Joe Thomas, he just got out of the NFL. Yeah. He slimmed down so much because they just eat all the time because they need to keep that size. And even a guy like Chad Greenway, he looks really thin compared to what he used to play at. And it's
seeing what happened with Matt Burke too. Even Joe Berger after being out of the league in a small amount of time.
Yeah.
We wish these guys the best, man. When it comes to safety, whether or not you agree with it, whether you're just if you're going to be one of those boomers that say, "Oh, you make money, blah 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 blah," or "I've been working this whole time," yeah, nobody cares, man. Don't be that guy.
I'm going to be real. If I had a chunk of money like what these pro athletes got, and I could sit home and not go to work for the rest of the year, I am taking that.
And that's a good point I wanted to make. I'm glad you said that. A lot of the guys I read on that pro football list, they don't have any snaps. So Kyle and I were talking before Adam joined and we went live. A lot of these guys that are on the roster right now, if they choose to opt out, think about a practice squad guy. We talked about it at least 1 or 2 years ago. Practice squad guys make between like $70,000 and $100,000. A lot of these opt-outs are like $150,000. So some of these guys you've never heard of that are opting out are making more money. They don't have to fight for a roster spot. So I would do the same thing. Yeah. So good for them. $150,000 to an NFL team is like going out to eat for you and me for like $20. And it's nothing to them. So why not, man? I just thought that was an interesting little
note. Didn't they make some changes to the practice squad? That's a good segue.
Yeah, they expanded it to 10, I believe, right?
Right, they expanded it, and they changed the rules on poaching players. You can protect 4 or 5 players can't be poached from your squad, which I think is an awesome rule. I like that a lot.
Yeah, this will open things up for the Vikings to try to sneak an extra quarterback on. It decreases the odds that Minnesota will hold 3 quarterbacks on their 53, since they could slide Nate Stanley onto the practice squad, most likely. I think that's what we're going to see.
You mean Nate's not starting?
Not yet.
I hear that a lot from Vikings fans, that he's going to be our starting quarterback.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
People love those third-string quarterbacks.
Yeah, Kyle Sloter was a savior, too. Jesus, man. I can't get it. Whatever.
No, I like the changes to the practice squad. I like being able to protect a handful of guys to keep them from being, taken by another team, because that never really made sense to me that teams could do that. Because why would you ever really get invested in your practice squad guys if at any time someone else in the league can just be like, you know what, I want that guy too. So I like the idea that you can be like, hey, here's a quarterback that we want, but we don't quite think that we want to keep. He's not going to benefit us on the 53-man roster, but we're going to stick him on the practice squad because we want to continue to let him develop and grow. I like the fact that they can do that and that they can protect a player and not have to waste a spot on the 53 with someone who isn't really going to help, but you don't want to lose to another team.
That's a solid point. I never thought about that.
Yeah.
Not that way, at least.
Let's get you want to get the guys on your 53-man roster that are going to help you right now, and not necessarily play the game of, well, we like him, but not really, but we want to keep him. And while we're at it, we need to dress all 53 players. I say this all the time, but let the whole fucking squad be suited up and ready to go on game day.
Yes.
This isn't the 1960s anymore. That rule makes no sense in 2020. I hate it.
Well, the other point
I'm getting a little bit of electrical feedback from one of you guys.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if it's a phone close to a mic or something.
My air conditioner kicked on. I don't know if that's it.
Did it go away?
It's gone.
That was me. All right. To go to your point, Kyle, there's not a lot of Adam Thielens in the world. Let's be real. That's a Cinderella story, and first of all, it doesn't happen on every single team. And if it does, it happens once every couple of years for like 3 or 4 teams where they find that one guy that worked out and worked really hard.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm 100%. Everyone should be able to get dressed. And, yeah, I'm going to hang on to that for a while. I really like the way you said that. Why would you invest in the guys that you want to maybe mold for later if they can just get cherry-picked by guys overnight, which is dumb.
Right.
And God knows how many times we've done that on this show. Like, so-and-so got stolen off the practice squad. Now he's with the Jaguars. We're like, Okay, cool. He was a Viking for 2 days.
Cup of coffee.
That, and if you know that you're not really having a good chance of making the roster this year, you can opt out. You can take that year of wear and tear off your body, and you can add that to a potential future where you might have a better opportunity of actually making a roster or having a better position on the 53-man and making more money, maybe getting yourself a little bit more notoriety. There's a lot of good reasons why you might want to opt out.
Yeah.
I think this is going to make not a huge difference too, but thinking about how many people are going to opt out, this will certainly make next year's free agency even better too, because think about the guys that are going to play this year, and then this is the last year of their contract. There's always going to be turnover. We talked about it earlier this year. How many running backs are going to be ready next year and free? That's just running backs alone.
Yeah.
So this could show a lot of intrigue for the free agency period next year, and hopefully by free agency next year we'll have this COVID thing figured out or at least under control. But let's get to this question because I thought this was really good. John Young asks, do you think Madison can have a Derrick Henry effect as our number one running back? And the answer is, what will the offensive line provide him to do? Because his running style says yes, but our offensive line sometimes says,
our offensive line says not today.
I'm going to say even with a better offensive line, I don't see it happening. As much as I love Madison, he's maybe one gear behind Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's got that better burst of speed and continual speed. He can be more of a home run hitter than Madison can. And I think that if you eliminate a lot of those big plays that Dalvin Cook can make that Madison can't, you're going to get a not as good of a situation. And maybe if the offense flows through Madison, they can get him a lot of touches, and Madison will have a solid yards per carry average. He could be among the top running backs, but I don't think he would have anywhere near Derrick Henry numbers.
Derrick Henry is fucking huge.
Yeah.
They're both guys that could smash right through people if they wanted to. And I love the Alexander Madison shiftiness, how he shifts his weight so well to go through holes, to change directions. But yeah, he's not there. He is not Derrick Henry there.
I'll give you a reference for body size. I am Alexander Madison's size. I'm not chiseled like he is, but 5'11", 220. That's right about where I'm at. Derrick Henry is 6'3" and 240 pounds. So let's look up Alexander Madison's 40 time, because Derrick Henry's right here is a 4.54. It's not blazing, but it's still fast. But yeah, that'll give you the question. Plus, you got to think about the scheme that we're running now. It's a zone scheme, so we're going to shift the line, and that's really good for somebody like Dalvin Cook, who likes to go around the edge and can just gain a ton of speed even while cutting around the edge, versus a Madison who's just going to go straight downhill. Madison would be good in like a Indianapolis Colts or San Francisco 49ers kind of O-line in that kind of scheme. I don't know. That's just what I
Anyone would be good with that Colts O-line.
Yeah, you're right.
Quentin Nelson's a monster.
I had to plug that in there at least once for Adam to say it.
You see the photos of Phillip Rivers today? I think ESPN put him out, or Adam Schefter tweeted him out.
It just looked like a generic quarterback to me.
Yeah, Phillip Rivers in Colts gear looks really weird. Actually, when I seen him, I'm like, he looks like Ryan Leaf.
Oh, wow.
I mean, just like physically, I'm like, God, he resembles Ryan Leaf.
Oh, they had the same 40 time. All right, cool. Well,
what's the 40 time?
Of a human running faster. Plus, I like Derrick Henry when he stiff-armed Earl Thomas into next year.
Yeah.
Ruined the Ravens' playoff hopes and Super Bowl dreams this year, which is a perfect segue to the NFL Top 100. And I'm just going to say it out loud. I don't know how the Super Bowl MVP is number 4 on the list. Here, John said it. But he's also the third best at his position.
Yeah.
I don't buy that at all. And
I'm a big Russell Wilson fan. I understand how the argument can be made for him above Mahomes, but I don't think that's the case. And as much as I enjoy how electric Lamar can be and make plays with his feet, Mahomes deserved to be the number 1 ranked quarterback on that list.
McAfee explained it a little bit today about how, like, players in the league vote a little bit for what situation that players are in, other players are in. And so maybe with Lamar, they're looking at it going, he had to do more with less. Like, he didn't have all the weapons that a Patrick Mahomes has, and Lamar was able to do what he was able to do. So that's why other players in the league are like, you know what, we're going to vote for Lamar on that one.
But I have a question for Mr. Smith.
Sure.
So were you kind of making the same clamoring about the NFL Top 100 the year that Joe Flacco was Super Bowl MVP?
Well, the problem with that is and I know that we can't combine seasons, but I've never seen anyone do what Patrick Mahomes has done at the quarterback. I've seen Brett Favre do it kind of, but not all the time. I've watched film for Dan Marino and very little when I was younger of him. But I guess to answer your question, the question is, number one, do they vote for this before the playoffs? Because maybe you're going off that season, but I find it remiss to give it to a guy who's 0-2 in the playoffs, even though it's a team sport. But Mahomes single-handedly won the Super Bowl. And I guess what I'll end it with is, if you ask any GM and any coach in the league right now, what quarterback would you want? Because Adam hates this, but quarterback is a kind of positional bias because it's the most.
It is the premium position in the NFL. It is.
But ask any coach and any besides the Chiefs or the Ravens, ask their coach or their GM, which quarterback would you want right now if you could have him? And everyone would say Patrick Mahomes. I don't care. They would be lying to you if they pick Patrick.
And how many games did Mahomes miss last year?
I don't know. Maybe 2.
So didn't play a full season. All right.
That's fine. It's just like, and I saw it the year before. The dude, didn't he break the touchdown record or tied it with Peyton Manning or something? I just don't, and this is why I have the bias against it. I watched Lamar Jackson. He was electric, and he proved a lot of people wrong. But I've never seen a guy who plays like that that's not named Russell Wilson. And even Russell Wilson, he's not a straight runner like he is. I saw RG3 do that. And guess what? RG3 is now his backup. I saw Michael Vick do it, and Michael Vick faded out real quick.
Michael Vick was electric. Also, part of that was his own fault. Prime Michael Vick got out of the NFL. So you don't know what would have happened if he would have had a full career with Atlanta.
True.
But it's also, you run the risk so much with quarterbacks who are run first, like you said, who it's one play away from catastrophe.
And don't get me wrong. Adam makes a great point, but the only thing I have with that is I just haven't seen. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Russell Wilson put the Seahawks on his back last year.
Oh, yes.
Every year.
Every year, Russell Wilson does more for his team than maybe any other quarterback in the league.
And when I say this, guys, I just want to say, I'm not saying that Lamar Jackson is like the 18th best quarterback in the league. These guys are very, very close.
Right.
But Adam makes a good point. That's the writer coming out in Adam, and I love it. Joe Flacco won a Super Bowl MVP. Yeah, well, what's his name? Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl too, but I'm not going down that route. I'm watching the guy that I've never seen can scramble, improvise, makes left-handed passes. I mean, he could throw a ball on his knees accurately, not Josh Allen. Throw a ball on his knees 70 yards. I'm like, Jesus Christ, how do you defend that? And
here's what makes it fun, is that they're different style quarterbacks.
Sure.
So you can make a case for either or. It's like, what do you want for lunch? Do you want spaghetti or sushi? They're different. They're different styles of players. That's what makes this a fun conversation to have.
Yeah.
And if you don't think that this conversation wasn't scripted, I don't know what to tell you, because I'm pretty sure that this was definitely a tactic by the NFL to get people talking about their list and to get people riled up a bit, because I just don't see how the voting would have landed this way organically.
Hey, well, that's why I asked if it happened before or after the playoffs. And then Kyle watched it today. Pat McAfee said he voted for Adam Vinatieri as the number one player the year that they asked him to do it, his first Pro Bowl. And he said, well,
and he had his rationale for it. His rationale for it.
Good, right?
After you hear it, you're like, fucking A, he's right. Yeah, he is right with that one.
I've talked my head off this whole show. I'll let Kyle explain it, but it's the greatest, like, holy shit, he has a good point there. But yeah, I'll let you explain it.
So that was the year that Vinatieri only missed like one kick. He was like perfect the whole season. And he basically said that your job as a player is to score. And every single time Vinatieri went on the field, he put points on the board for his team. And he was perfect at it. Almost perfect at it. The whole season long. He's like, every single time this guy touched the ball, he scored points for the team. That is the object of the game. It's really, I mean, it's like, I agree with that. Kickers, man.
I love Pat McAfee so much, but that's some of the smartest stuff I've ever heard him say. And of course, he puts Vinatieri as the number one player that year. I think that was the year he said that the Patriots scored 70 points on us in the playoffs, and we went home. He was drunk the entire time of the Pro Bowl because he was so depressed.
Is Vinatieri still playing? Is he coming back this year?
I don't know.
Is anyone?
I think he's done.
He should be done. He's starting. It finally started to fall off a little bit. He's the all-time leading scorer.
He's a lock for the Hall of Fame, right?
Without it, he should be. Definitely should be.
If there's ever a case for first ballot Hall of Fame kicker, Adam Vinatieri's on that. He's on that list.
So it says he's a free agent. 10 hours ago, the Colts Wire asked, is the Adam Vinatieri era over in Indy? I guess, yeah. 2,673 points scored. Jesus.
Boom.
And he's one shy of 600 field goals made. 590.
Oh, man. Someone's got to call him back for just
600 field goals, man. You got to do it.
Call him back for just that one kick. Let him kick 600.
He is 599 out of 715 on field goals. His field goal percentage for his career is 83.8. Like I said, 2,673 points scored. Holy crap, man.
That's someone good at what they do.
We talked about kickers going into 48 minutes in the show. That's good. That's what we do here.
Positive stuff about kickers. Yeah. We've done shows about kickers in the past, but they weren't as fun.
We can segue that. There was a Gary Anderson. Vic, Blair Walsh, Kai Forbath? ? He was here for a minute too long ago.
I like Kai. I don't have bad things to say about Kai.
No, nothing at all.
He saved us there for a couple seasons.
Him and his stupid rock band T-shirts.
Well, I don't know if we have any more Viking news, but I'm excited to see what camp brings. Man.
Coronavirus, I shouldn't say that, but that's what camp is going to
be. No, that's...
More COVID.
That'd be bad.
Too soon. You know what we could do? We could start a GoFundMe to get a pair of clippers that are strong enough to shave Paul Allen's eyebrows. Have you guys seen him? He looks like a homeless man during this whole...
I thought you were going to go for my beard, and I was going to say I had beard oil this morning, so if it looks a little extra thick, that's why.
No, we would not say anything negative about that glorious beard that you have.
You know, I have no right to talk about Paul Allen or anyone else's looks, but come on, dude. You can trim the eyebrows just a little
bit. He's looking rough there with
shave him off, draw some on.
Oh God, that'd be too drastic.
Can guys get away with that? Maybe I should give it a whirl.
Yeah, go for it.
I don't think you should, but if you do, I support whatever your decisions are. So we had a good question in the chat. Yang Yaj was a local here for a long time. Haven't seen you in a minute, but I'm glad you're back. He's asking about the Survival League, so I'm going to transition that to Adam Carlson. We'll let him answer that for you.
I want to do it, but it's something I haven't discussed yet with the guys, so hopefully I can talk him into it. But yeah, it's something I'd like to see come back because I have a lot of fun with it.
I will absolutely chip in just like last year, and I promise I'll do it sooner this time around. But I'll chip in and buy you a Purple People podcast shirt or hoodie, and then maybe throw in a goodie here or there, just something. And it's absolutely free, but I'm glad Yang brought it up because August is 2 days away. Football happens very soon, and we're going to give away free stuff. All you got to do is watch the show, tune in, and update your list every week. They can send you an email reminder. I mean, it's pretty easy. But, yeah, we might do the Survival League again.
Adam, you look like Wilson from Home Improvement.
That's what I'm trying to do here every time the thing pops up.
You had just the top. That is a reference that how many people at this point even get? The old Home Improvement reference.
I like Home Improvement a lot.
Stuff.
That, and we had Family Matters back in the day. They used to be close together. Man, that's a trip down memory lane. I might have to binge those. See if those are floating around on the internet somewhere. But yeah, I think that's all we got. You guys got anything else you want to cover Viking wise?
I got nothing.
No, I hope we have football, but I hope the players are safe. Like, if it comes to a point where it seems like this is going to risk player safety, then we need to not have football. That's my whole condensed thought process on that one.
And just if you're,
I see the NBA starting up tonight.
Exactly where I was going. If you're a fan of the NBA, it is starting up. They're doing their bubble, but the problem with the NFL doing that versus the NBA is about 800 more players. So it's hard, and you got to think. If they're at Disney World, they could construct 3 or 4 basketball courts, no problem there because they have a lot of land. But think about how many games you watch on a Sunday and how many are available, like 8 or 9? That's 8 or 9 different football fields, and those take a while to build. So unless you're going to borrow like a high school stadium, which is not smart. So the NFL can't do a bubble. So this is going to be interesting. I am with Kyle West, though. I want it to happen like anybody else so bad. But if they have to pause the season or they have to figure something else out, so be it. We're just going to have to accept it and hope that everybody stays safe. So,
we had joked about it, but maybe it's not a bad idea if they play a couple games and have a bye week off, play a couple games, and give them another week off, just to minimize players being around one another.
Players wouldn't be mad about that.
Yeah.
What if you had a bye week every quarter? Like every 4 games, you had a mandatory bye week for the league to get healthier. It only pushed the season back a month.
Yeah,
it's true.
I don't know. I'm just spitballing. I'm just a guy in a hotel room that wants to watch the Vikings. All right, I have no idea. But yeah, that's about it, guys. Oh,
one more really quick thing because I know we're coming up on an hour. We didn't mention the Wilps potentially buying the Timberwolves.
That's correct. We didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't do that last week. Go ahead, man. Take it away.
That's pretty much it.
Well, to balance on that, there was some talk about former Timberwolves star Kevin Garnett. He said he did have interest. I guess the Timberwolves are up for sale. But the Wilfs are, billionaires? They could easily buy this team. I would love to see them do like a marriage there and him be like, a percentage owner with them. I'm sure they would love to have that as far like a PR.
That'd be good.
They could definitely create an owners group. And I think that Minnesota would be smart to let the Wilfs in because they've already worked with the state. They know how everything works. All they've really got to do is, at that point, to switch everything over. They know the guidelines. They know how to handle everything. It'd be kind of new territory for Garnett and his group. And starting over with fresh would be kind of tough. But I don't know. For me, having the Wilfs take it over, I actually wrote an article about it over on the Viking Age about why the Wilfs taking over the Timberwolves would be amazing. And I hope that some of you guys check that out because I think it's a wonderful idea.
Yeah, I think it'd be great. I think it'd just be fun to have that connection, more of a connection too, between the Vikings and the Timberwolves sharing ownership. I think the Wilf family is a really good group of owners. I don't know if that's just because we're biased because they own our team and we're Vikings fans, but I don't really ever hear anything negative about them come out. So
no, then they have their own family organization. They start up organizations for the Vikings have their own group. They're very charitable, very giving back to the community. And I don't know, to me, I would want more of that in Minneapolis, more of the humanitarian efforts and everything. So fingers crossed there.
I also like it because that's just all the more reason to keep them in Minnesota. Not that I ever think that they have plans on selling the Vikings, but the more invested they are in this area, you just move that percentage down even lower if they're ever going to get rid of this team or move on or whatever. So, yeah, I like it.
Yeah, all the Viking players have nothing but great things to say about it. You can kind of tell when guys are in PR mode and covering their ass versus guys who are like, no, I love this ownership group. And I saw, if you go on Vikings.com, you can watch, which is something we should probably tell if you're aching to watch something cool about the Vikings. Go on Vikings.com and go to the video section. They have like a 20 to 30-minute video of every draftee this year from the 2020 draft getting the phone call. Rick Spielman's on there, Gary Kubiak, Mike Zimmer, and even the Wilfs, now that we're talking about them. They'll get on FaceTime or a Zoom call and call into the players. It's really cool looking, especially the Justin Jefferson pick and how Mike Zimmer wanted to go get a corner instead.
Yeah, I love that part. The way Zimmer talking to Spielman. Yeah, and he's immediately like, okay, the receiver, but the corner. Is the corner there? He's like immediately locked on.
He goes, what corner is going to be available?
My favorite was when Philadelphia made their pick and it wasn't Justin Jefferson.
Oh, yeah. The whole team, Zimmer.
That's what we're talking about right there. That's in the same kind of time frame in that video where Zimmer asked that, and you can just see the Vikings just like light up. They're like, oh shit, our guy's available. Like, let's go get him. I still can't believe he fell that far.
I don't know if this is the video where a little bit earlier they showed that the Vikings are trying to trade up for Justin Jefferson, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is that same video? Because, yeah, that's interesting to see because they really wanted him.
Yeah, it's a lengthy video. They did have a shortened version on the app, but they do have a lengthier one. It's about 20, 25 minutes long, somewhere around that. But they show every pick in their call, and then they have a live look in on a lot of the guys' homes. Like Ezra Cleveland, they had a video set up there when he got the call. It was really cool. So it's just cool, a cool way to connect with the new guys and kind of see honestly their excitement.
Honestly, and then we'll wrap the show up. I liked the virtual draft almost more than the traditional draft, the way they did it. I know we talked about that earlier in the year, but moving forward, with or without COVID-19. I hope that we keep elements of that virtual draft for rounds 2 on. I like seeing the coaches at their home. I like seeing players in their homes. I think that's a lot more interesting than kind of the fake stage stuff that they do.
I felt that way about this year's Comic-Con, too. I watched a lot of that Comic-Con at home, and it was done the same way, and it had a completely different feel. It was much more intimate, I thought, and much more well-produced, and for all that it was worth, it was so good. And I do hope that they don't just fall back into the standard NFL draft routine, because I actually thought that it was much more, well, maybe not much more, but it was more entertaining in many aspects while watching this year's virtual draft than it was otherwise. And I'd say maybe keep round 1 the same way, because we do want to see those players on stage getting the jerseys with the number on them. Past that, yeah, we can wait. We can see some virtual stuff.
Do some virtual stuff for it. I agree.
Speaking of virtual stuff, if you like my background, it's from an app called ChromaCam, which you can pick up. I think it's $30. I picked it up because I've been streaming some games on Twitch on my MN Viking Zombie account. So if you want to see me play some games over there, I'll probably be doing a little bit of that tonight. I'm thinking about going live at about 10, playing some Jackbox games. But yeah, you can catch me over there. And if you like this background, you can pick it up. And maybe if you do some streaming or just some Zoom calls with your friends that you miss, you can have some fun with it. Do a background. Like, I'll have a different one next week. I've already got a few downloaded and ready, and it's fun.
Can we make requests for backgrounds?
Oh, not yet. Not yet.
All right. Well, whatever we got to do to get to that, because I have requests that are kind of like centrally themed between the 3 of us. I'm going to need that to happen at some point.
I expect the Walking Dead background here soon, Adam.
I have used it for when I record the Undead Walking podcast, which I'm 2 episodes deep in now.
Nice.
I'll tell you straight up.
Dead, you can check that out. We've got some interviews on there as well. We've just secured some interviews with Karen David of Fear the Walking Dead, with Johnny Odell of Skybound, and Julian Excalibur, who's a blogger of The Walking Dead. So all in all, I've had a good time. I don't do the interviews. I'm only a one one day a week guy on that podcast to come in and talk with Sarah Beth about the Walking Dead universe. But I have a lot of fun with it. I also still do some articles over there. I do some articles over on the Viking Age, and I have a lot of fun. And of course, I always have fun on my gaming. So check out my Twitch, check out Undead Walking, check out the Viking Age. I appreciate all that.
I don't know what it was, but on my trip to San Antonio, which is the home of the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, I watched a lot of Shawn Michaels YouTube highlights. So at point we could yes or
I am losing some audio and stuff from Mr. Smith.
Yes, but
it's a little glitch there. My bad, guys.
No, that's okay. I think I see my online store down at the bottom of the page, which you should check out because I am adding photos every single day, including Purple People podcast merchandise. So you can get us on T-shirts and face masks because it's 2020. You need one of those. You can get one of those now.
I'm telling you, something that would be kind of nifty for everybody out there is a nice Purple People podcast coffee mug.
Mm-hmm. Oh, what I think is really cool, some people are really into the enamel pins that you can put on your shirts or hats or backpacks or whatever.
Yes.
So you can get our logo on an enamel pin that if you want to stick on something, you sure can. Laptop bag or whatever. That's pretty cool.
That is pretty neat.
Do you have stickers on there too?
Yes, I do. You can do stickers. You can do refrigerator magnets. There's all kinds of cool stuff. That's why I went with this platform because it has a lot of really cool options to put my stuff on.
So why is it called Red Buble?
I don't have an answer for that. That's just what it's called. That's probably the biggest downfall that I don't like is that I can't use a custom URL like I did before.
What you got to do is create a permanent bit.ly for it. That way it's bit.ly/Phantasm Digital. Yeah. And you can hand that out.
I don't know how to do that, so you will have to talk to me.
Oh, yeah, I'll take care of that.
You know what? We haven't done this in a minute on the show, at least not at the end. So let's go ahead and just give the viewers that stick around for this. This is Kyle West's site here. If you go to Redbubble. I wanted to take a look because I'm going to get some Purple People podcast stuff.
Click over on Explore, go up a little bit, and click on Explore Designs. Then scroll on down.
So give me just a second here. I'm streaming off my phone to do this show. That's probably why we cut out. But here, look at all these cool photos that he took in town. Like this is stuff you would see on a postcard and all kinds of cool stuff, man.
Thank you.
So when we tell you the guys on the show are talented, we're not just saying that to inflate our own tires here. This is real good stuff, and this is from yours truly over there. So
yes,
pretty cool stuff, man. You guys check that out when you can and go support it. Go to thevikingage.com.
Add new photos every day is my goal to add at least 4 new photos every day with it.
4 new photos every day?
Yes, all kinds of penis.
Adam and Kyle have their OnlyFans page coming soon.
Oh,
you can get that on a sticker or a refrigerator magnet, and your family will say, "This is the worst Thanksgiving I've ever had."
That's awesome.
I have one friend who hates getting Christmas presents from me because what I do is I go on eBay and he gets the same thing every year, but I hide it in different items. Like I'll put it in a shoebox or, it's a VHS copy of Richard Simmons' Disco Sweat. That's what he gets every year.
That's fantastic.
That's brilliant. Well, I know what I'm getting Adam for Christmas.
It is the gift that keeps on giving.
Head on over to the Viking Age. Adam Carlson down there at the bottom of this pyramid. He writes for them. We get a lot of good Viking news there. If you click on one of his links and articles, you can help pay his bills, much like we were trying to get Kyle West stuff here. If you guys can support both of these causes that are flashing on your screen would be great. I will close the show out here by saying you can go to our YouTube or our Facebook page and you can click on the like button, the subscribe button, whatever you want to do. you can support us. But we've had an hour-long show. We had a good interaction for some old friends, some new faces I haven't seen before. But we thank you guys for tuning in. And football's back, man. Training camp is here, so we'll guide you through this weird question mark of a year. We'll get you the news as it comes. I don't have anything else, but I'm not going to steal it because this is Adam Carlson's line. So
it won't put Mew's face up. There we go. Freaking cat.
Spooky. Whee! Spooky.
We're going to sign off, but we thank everybody that joined in the chat. And if you watch this video, give us a thumbs up on YouTube if you don't mind.
Yeah, that'd be great. I know what they're waiting for, and I'm not giving it to them.
All right, then. I'll say it if you won't.
Go for it.
I hate doing this when you're here. I feel like a thief. In the words of Adam Carlson, thank you for tuning in, and stay classy, Minnesota.